The Scandalous Life of Buster Keaton, 10 Shocking Facts. Buster Keaton, the legendary silent film star known as the Great Stone Face, captivated audiences with his fearless stunts and deadpan humor. Yet, beyond his on-screen persona, Keaton's life was filled with moments of scandal, hardship, and controversy. From a tumultuous childhood to a rollercoaster career, Keaton's journey through Hollywood and personal life reveals a tapestry of surprising and shocking details. Here are 10 facts that uncover the lesser-known, scandalous side of Buster Keaton. Fact number 1. A dangerous childhood, born into vaudeville at age 3. Buster Keaton, born Joseph Frank Keaton on October 4, 1895, in Piqua, Kansas, was destined for a life in showbiz. His parents, Joe and Myra Keaton, were vaudeville performers, and Buster joined their act at the tender age of 3. The Keaton family act became infamous for its rough-and-tumble comedy, with Buster's father incorporating him into routines that involved physically tossing him around the stage. As audiences gasped, Buster would be hurled into scenery, across the stage, and even into the orchestra pit, all while maintaining a stone-faced expression that would later become his trademark. These performances were not without controversy. Many accused Joe Keaton of child abuse, exacerbated by his frequent drunkenness. This harsh introduction to show business ingrained in Buster a remarkable tolerance for pain and an unwavering commitment to his craft, traits that defined his career. Buster's early exposure to physical comedy amidst personal trauma laid the groundwork for his later innovations in silent film, although the experiences may have also sowed the seeds for his own struggles with alcoholism, mirroring his father's. Number 2. The marriage that nearly ruined him. In 1921, Buster Keaton married Natalie Talmadge, a member of the renowned Talmadge family of Hollywood actresses. While the marriage initially seemed promising, it quickly unraveled due to fundamental differences between the couple. Natalie, accustomed to luxury and refinement, detested the lowbrow nature of Buster's comedy and his devotion to his art. The marriage produced 2 sons, Joseph and Robert, but as time passed, Natalie grew increasingly distant, eventually barring Buster from seeing his children. Their 1932 divorce was notoriously acrimonious. Natalie not only took the family's Beverly Hills mansion but also a significant portion of Buster's assets, leaving him financially broken. Keaton later reflected, "Marrying Natalie was the worst mistake of my life," a sentiment echoed by his friends who watched as he descended into a deep depression, seeking solace in alcohol. Adding to his troubles, in 1933, Keaton hastily married nurse May Scriven, who later claimed she didn't know she had married a former movie star until their marriage was almost over. Their turbulent marriage ended on July 4, 1935, when May caught Buster in Santa Barbara with Leah Clampett Sewell. The divorce was finalized in 1936, further depleting Keaton's finances. Despite these setbacks, Keaton found some stability in 1940 when he married Eleanor Norris, a dancer 23 years his junior. Eleanor remained with Keaton until his death in 1966. Like her husband, Eleanor died of lung cancer in 1998 at the age of 80, sharing a deep bond with Buster until the end. Number 3. The MGM downfall, the studio system's most expensive mistake. Buster Keaton's decision in 1928 to sign with MGM is often cited as the beginning of his downfall. MGM, a powerhouse of the studio system, imposed rigid controls that suffocated Keaton's creative genius. His first MGM film, The Cameraman, was a hit, but Keaton's relationship with the studio quickly soured. Executives failed to grasp his unique brand of physical comedy, and their constant interference led to a string of uninspired films. "I was like a bird in a cage," Keaton later lamented. The pressure and frustration from working in such an environment drove Keaton further into alcoholism. By 1933, MGM had had enough and terminated his contract, citing his erratic behavior. Industry insiders regarded this as one of Hollywood's most significant blunders, as MGM's mishandling of Keaton robbed cinema of one of its brightest stars. Keaton's career spiraled into decline, and he became a cautionary tale of how the studio system could crush even the most brilliant talents. Number 4. The drunken escapade that led to institutionalization. By the 1930s, Buster Keaton's drinking was out of control, with his behavior becoming increasingly erratic and self-destructive. A particularly infamous incident occurred in 1934 when Keaton was found wandering the streets of San Bernardino, California, in a drunken stupor, shouting profanities and assaulting passers-by. He was arrested and subsequently admitted to a sanitarium, where he spent time recuperating. Reflecting on this dark period, Keaton confessed, "I didn't know where I was, who I was, or why." His descent into alcoholism led to severe professional setbacks, estrangement from friends and family, and a tarnished public image. The headlines surrounding his behavior painted him as a tragic figure who had squandered his genius, and his institutionalization was seen as a last-ditch effort to reclaim some semblance of stability. It was a low point in his life, underscoring the devastating toll of his personal struggles. Number 5. Secret marriage while still legally married. In 1933, while still legally married to Natalie Talmadge, Buster Keaton hastily married May Scriven, a nurse he met while recovering from a drinking binge. The secret wedding took place in Mexico, and Keaton, in a drunken haze, barely remembered the ceremony. Their union was plagued from the start by his ongoing battle with alcoholism, and it lasted less than 3 years. Scriven filed for an annulment after discovering that Keaton had forgotten they were even married, a testament to the depths of his addiction. This second marriage scandalized Hollywood, adding to the narrative of Keaton as a once great talent who had lost his way. Despite his intentions, Keaton's impulsive decisions and self-destructive behavior seemed to ensure that his personal life remained as tumultuous as his professional one. Number 6. Love triangles and affairs with famous Hollywood stars. Keaton's tumultuous personal life extended beyond his marriages to his dalliances with Hollywood actresses. His affair with Dorothy Sebastian, his co-star in the 1929 film Spite Marriage, was particularly scandalous. The two were openly affectionate on set, causing consternation among MGM executives who worried about the film's reputation. Additionally, rumors swirled that Keaton had an affair with his sister-in-law, Norma Talmadge, which only added to the intrigue surrounding his private life. His romantic escapades fed the tabloids, and his reputation as a womanizer took center stage, overshadowing his professional achievements. Keaton's affairs were not just fodder for gossip, they revealed a complex personality driven by passion and prone to self-sabotage, qualities that both enriched and complicated his legacy. Number 7. The Lost Films Scandal. While many of Keaton's silent films are regarded as masterpieces, a number of his projects from the 1930s and 1940s have been lost to time, a loss he considered an artistic theft. Some of these films were discarded by studios during housekeeping efforts, while others disappeared due to poor storage or deliberate destruction in the chaotic early days of Hollywood. Keaton was devastated, seeing the loss of these films as a personal affront. In his later years, he spent considerable effort trying to locate or reconstruct missing reels, lamenting the cultural neglect that allowed such works to vanish. His heartbreak over these lost films was palpable. As he put it, "They were part of me, and they're gone." Keaton's advocacy for film preservation emerged as a key aspect of his legacy, with some of his recovered works now celebrated as cinematic treasures. Number 8. A brief collaboration with Mussolini's filmmakers. Desperate for work in the late 1930s, Keaton accepted an offer to collaborate with Italian filmmakers associated with Benito Mussolini's fascist government. The film, The Invader, was a comedy that sought to capitalize on Keaton's fading star power. Despite assurances that the project was apolitical, the association with Mussolini's regime created controversy and backlash in Hollywood. The movie itself was a box office flop, and the collaboration only further tarnished Keaton's reputation in America. This ill-fated venture illustrated how Keaton's career decisions often seemed driven by desperation rather than foresight, complicating his efforts to reinvent himself during a difficult period. Number 9. Reinvention in the 1950s, from outcast to cult icon. By the 1950s, Buster Keaton was no longer the household name he had once been, but a new generation discovered his genius through television. Keaton embraced the medium, appearing on shows like The Ed Sullivan Show and gaining a fresh following among younger viewers. He was celebrated at avant-garde events and praised by surrealist artists, who saw his humor as a precursor to their own movement. However, his revival wasn't without its critics. Some accused him of selling out by performing in commercials and television skits that seemed beneath his talents. Despite these critiques, Keaton's willingness to adapt to new platforms and media cemented his status as a cult icon, and his reputation as a trailblazer in comedy was restored. His later years were marked by a sense of vindication, as audiences once again celebrated the comedic genius who had long been forgotten. Number 10. Final years, a quiet scandal of deception. In his final years, Buster Keaton presented a wholesome image to the public while continuing to battle private demons. Although he had gained a measure of professional respect and recognition, he struggled with heavy drinking behind closed doors. Even more surprisingly, Keaton chose to keep his diagnosis of terminal lung cancer a secret, fearing it would overshadow his revived career. Determined to continue working, he insisted on performing his stunts and maintained his characteristic stoicism, refusing to seek sympathy. His death on February 1, 1966, came as a shock to many, revealing the depth of his dedication to his craft. In true Keaton fashion, he faced his final act with a quiet, stubborn resolve, leaving behind a legacy as a comedic genius who never lost his passion, even in the face of immense personal hardship.